The U.S. House of Representatives passes a bill to set aside billions of dollars for community banks to increase small business lending. The bill was sponsored by Bloomfield Township Congressman Gary Peters. He joins us on the phone now. Good morning, Congressman.
Well, good morning, Alan. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. You know, we talked about this a while back, and these are the things you wanted to introduce, and they finally got passed. So tell me how this is going to help small businesses.
Well, this is very important for small businesses in the fact that it is very difficult for them to get the loans that they need. I've got small business people telling me they're in a position now where they want to do some growth, they want to hire some people, but they simply can't get the loans. This legislation is about small business lending and through our community banks, but it goes directly to small businesses and will increase those loans that small businesses need to create jobs in our communities.
Now, this gets funneled through community banks. Tell me which banks qualify.
They are the smaller banks, $10 billion or less in assets, so there's our smaller community banks and regional banks. So they're the ones that right now have been squeezed themselves and making it difficult for them to make the loans to small businesses, and yet they're the ones that make most of these small business loans in our economy, and that's why it's so important to make sure that they have the resources necessary. And there are very strong incentives for them to do that. They need to take this money and get it on Main Street, and if they don't, they actually pay a higher interest rate for it. So there's some very strong incentives to get it on Main Street where it belongs, helping the folks who actually create jobs in our economy, and that is our small business owners.
What's your response to a number of Republicans who didn't vote for it, who's simply saying that it doesn't offer enough relief?
Well, I think, that is a wrong approach. We've got to get relief out there. We've got strong support from all the business owners that I've talked to that this is the number one issue for them. They need to have access to capital, and they need to have access at a good price. This is very important to get the economy going, and again, it's probably the number one issue that I hear over and over again as I've held roundtables with small business people. I've walked in my downtown communities in Farmington and Birmingham and Rochester. It's the one issue that comes up over and over again, and they're pleased that there's now going to be an opportunity for those loans to get into the hands of Main Street businesses.
You know, Congressman, I would assume that small businesses are no different than your average person out there who gets a loan. What are the criteria? What happens if they happen to default on these loans?
What's the criteria if they default?
Yes.
Well, it's like any other loan. They're going to be screened to make sure that they can actually pay, that they have the ability to do that, and if they default, the same repercussions as you get with any other loan. But it is really a factor where you've got businesses that have always been able to get loans. They've qualified in normal times. They've got good businesses. They've got cash flow. In many cases, in the past, there would have been no problem whatsoever for them to get loans. In fact, we've got auto suppliers right now who, even though they have an order from General Motors, Chrysler, or Ford, they can't get a loan because the bank is saying their factory is worth less than what it used to be, and yet here they've got a hard order. They know they can put people to work immediately. They know they can start buying steel and rubber and getting the economy going, and yet they can't get a loan because of their collateral drop. These are very low-risk loans, and they can immediately put people to work. We've got to make sure they have access to those low-cost loans to put people to work.
All right. Well, Congressman, thank you again for your time this morning.
My pleasure.
All right. And time now is